I just got to take shots at the Army every chance I get.
I know. It's fine.
Do we need to talk about the coffee machine?
No.
Trust me, I fail far more than I win. I'm probably sitting at like probably 1 to 10, right? For every 10 things I try, one of them works out. But I just keep doing it, keep trying, and then something sticks.
And I can't do anything for you. I can't teach you everything I know in 90 seconds. I just can't do it. You got to put some effort in yourself. Doing uncomfortable and difficult things, and that our brains are designed to protect us. We want to protect not just, and this is what I love, not just ourselves, but our children. Mm-hmm. Stop protecting your children from doing uncomfortable and hard things.
Welcome to the Mental Health Janitors, where we help you clean up the mess in your head. I'm your host, Sergeant Q, and with me as always, Doc Jess.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
All right, you guys, today we've got an action-packed episode for you. We're going to be talking about these pro-Palestine protests, riots, insurrections that are happening all over college campuses and what that is doing to people's mental health. We're also going to talk about some of the hypocrisy that we see is happening and how people are starting to take notice of this virtue signaling and how it is actually doing more harm than good to the cause. Then we're going to talk about our new advancement. So this is something really cool. If you guys who don't know, I was on a reality TV show last year and I was on it a couple times. And now I'm back as a coach and judge. One of the businesses on there is in the mental health space. So we're going to talk about this new advancement that she has created. I was just in Arizona. It was really cool to see what she's created. So it's called Connect to Yourself. We're going to get into that for our new advancement. And what do we have for our scripture verses today, Jess?
I have a list of scripture verses today. So I'll get into detail when we get to that segment.
Fantastic. And then the tool for the toolbox is something that we haven't done before. This is really neat. I do this every single day and you do it as well. So stick around to the end. You're going to get something brand new, totally cool that we both have been using for a while. You're going to love it. All right. Well, let's get into it, Jess.
Let's start our day with our card.
Oh, yes. Our card.
Random knowledge teaser, word teaser of the day.
Here we go.
Is going to be, you're going to get this one. Would you rather get pressure. $1 million today or a penny that's doubled each day for a month?
So hold on, a penny that's doubled or the amount is doubled every day? So if I get a penny today, then I get 2 tomorrow, 4, 8, and so on, right? Mm-hmm. It's multiplied. Oh yeah, for sure. I'd rather get a penny today and 2x it every time. I'd be a millionaire in like less than a week.
Yeah, so it says, unless you have a big bill that you need to pay right away, take the penny. Doubling its value each day will result in more than 10 million after 30 days. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you'd be a millionaire within a week. It's pretty. Because you're going to be a millionaire by the end of the month. It's incredible.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you just double it every single time.
What day do you become a millionaire?
Day 28. I looked it up, but it is right. Actually, I didn't look it up. I made Casey look it up. Casey just read through all of them.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So,
it is. Yes.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's dive right into our current event.
Awesome. Okay. Yes. Our current event.
And I know we've talked about this current event once or twice before, but it is because it's so current.
Yeah, like last week, some of these things started. I mean, there's been protests all the time and pro-Palestine protests for the last several months. Yeah. But this is funny because people are getting fatigued on this. Not just the general public, but the administrators of the college, the law enforcement, like everybody's just had enough of this virtue signaling, which is what this has turned out to be, because they're just protesting just to protest. And when they go to interview the college students, asking them why they're protesting, they literally don't have an answer. They just don't know. And it's kind of crazy because they are protesting an occupation by occupying space that doesn't belong to them. It's
Break that down for me.
The hypocrisy. So they're protesting the fact that Israel is taking this Palestinian space back. They're occupying this space, and how they're going to protest it is by taking over the quad of the college and saying this belongs to us now.
Yeah.
And the college doesn't own this anymore. We're taking it. It's just wild to see the hypocrisy.
Exactly what they're protesting against.
I know.
It gets insane.
It gets even better. If you watch some of the videos of people, like this guy was just walking through the area, just another student, nothing to do with anything, just walking through. And he had like a pink sweatshirt on, and they like surrounded him or like, you can't be here, and like forced him out. And the guy's like, whoa, what's like, I'm trying to get to my class. But they surrounded him, covered him with like blankets, pulled him out. I mean, you watch the interview with the guy afterwards. He's like, I don't know what happened. Like, this was crazy. He was just trying to get to his class.
Yeah. And that's one of our constitutional rights.
That's right. Yeah.
What is the actual verbiage of movement or transportation?
Yeah. Liberty. Yeah. You have liberty of movement. And
which is why here locally in Seattle at SeaTac last week, when they shut down the freeway and thousands of people missed their flights, why their law enforcement was able to go in and shut down the protest, because they were infringing on people's rights to movement, rights to transportation.
What I would love to see is that if people can protest, dude, go protest. Sure. Like, I'm all about it. That's fine. But the minute you start to impede the travel of other people, those people should be able to beat you with a stick.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you are taking up the roadway. You're impeding people's movement and travel. You're, in a sense, holding them hostage is what you're doing. You're literally holding them hostage by not allowing them to freely move. You should get a beating. I'm telling you.
And if you think about, some of us hear the story of like, oh, that guy cut me off driving, and then the devil's advocate, your wife next to you or husband is like, well, who knows if they're having a bad day or if they're rushing to the hospital. You never know, right? You know how many people travel to go visit a loved one who's on their deathbed? Do you know how many people travel because of a trauma or because of a family emergency or a crisis that hit that potentially didn't get to say goodbye to their dying father that day? Or what? There's probably multiple stories of complete chaos in people's lives because they missed their flights that day that the protesters obviously weren't thinking about.
And not just that, but look at the economical loss, not just to the airlines, but to the individuals themselves, because they had appointments they had to get to. They had business deals they had to go and do. They had car reservations and hotel reservations. You cost all of those people thousands of dollars. And if they're a business owner, it could have been hundreds or millions of dollars by impeding their travel for your cause. You know, all about protesting. Protest all you want. It's totally fine. But the minute you start infringing on other people's rights, the minute that you start impeding their travel, you're literally holding them hostage at that point, because they're not able to move. You've blocked the roadway, so they cannot move. They're being held hostage by you and your compatriots. So at that point, those are fighting words, man. Yep. I'm waiting for the laws to shift and say, you know what? If you're going to do that, people have a right to defend themselves and their freedom of movement. And so you get what you get. And you will see a lot less of those protests when people recognize that there are real life consequences to them if they try to impede people's travel.
Yeah. It's a good point.
I'm pretty harsh on this subject.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys may push back on me, and that's fine.
That's fine.
Go right ahead. Protest me. Just don't stand in my way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
it's good. Totally fine. I get really fed up with this idea that if they think they have the moral high ground, then they can just do whatever they want.
Sure.
And I'm not the only one. So college campuses are getting tired of this. They're getting ready. They're threatening to take people's tuition away.
Yeah.
Like you lose your scholarship, you lose your tuition, and they're kicking you out of school. They're doing that. This is what they're threatening the protesters with if they don't leave. Okay. You want to know what's really hypocritical? Well, not hypocritical. I'm not sure the right word. Hilarious. I will just say it's hilarious.
Okay.
So University of Washington, they were supposed to do one of these protests where they take over the quad and occupy and put out these blue tarps and do this whole thing, right? They put out an announcement yesterday that said that they were going to postpone, and Casey, you're going to have to find this headline and put it up. They're going to postpone the protest. Do you know why? Because there was not enough diversity in the protest group. So it's not that there wasn't enough diversity. There was no diversity.
No, none.
There were no Palestinian kids there, no Arab, no Muslim students at all that were participating in this protest.
It was all white people.
White people culturally appropriating Palestine. So funny.
And the one video that says now this is hate speech. Like the one lady, when you say, do you realize that what you're protesting, like as a human, they would kill you? And she said, let's just be honest. That's hate speech.
I'm like, that's reality.
It's reality.
It's crazy because you can tell people don't really understand the problem that they're protesting, especially when you have the whole LGBTQ group out there and the trans people out there protesting for Palestine, not realizing that if they were in Palestine, they would be murdered for being transgender.
Not just rejected, not just bullied, literally unalived.
Yes. And thank you for being politically correct.
You're welcome.
I don't have to be. You do.
I
That's literally what would happen. There are actual laws in those countries that say that you will be killed for being homosexual, for being transgender. Those are laws in some of those countries that you are protesting for their rights, and they would murder you on sight.
Yeah.
That's just, it's crazy to see people protesting for them, but not realizing that they would have zero rights in that country for the very people they're trying to protest for.
There's a really funny comedian. I can't name names.
Your brother?
I can't name names because I'm not saying to go listen because he's a little crass, but he is finally making major jokes about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, good job, brother. Go. Just like he's on Fox with at night. What's his name? Okay, so you look up the guy on Fox at night.
Sean Hannity?
Hannity.
Is it Hannity?
Yeah. Is it Sean Hannity?
I don't know. Hannity.
With Roseanne the other day. He's been on Sean Hannity a couple times, just cracking jokes between the two of them about all this stuff.
Yeah,
Hannity.
You can protest whatever you want, but just be educated on what you're doing.
Sure.
A lot of times these kids on these college campuses, it's fun, it's trendy. It's like, oh, everybody's doing this, so I'm just going to jump on board and be part of it, not knowing what you're doing.
I saw a little click, I don't know, of Charlie Kirk at a college campus, and the protester was trying to have an argument with him that all the illegals coming into the United States of America, he's really happy, this protester is really happy they're coming because they're all going to vote Democrat. Like, I don't care what you vote for, but it was one of those like moments of like, that's your argument. Like, really?
How are they going to vote? Because they're not citizens unless the Democratic Party is not checking citizenship when people vote.
Yeah. Well, the whole argument was pretty embarrassing for the young man, period. Like that's your argument. What you have a few minutes with Charlie Kirk and that's what you're going to say to him? Way to waste breath. Anyways, cool. At Columbia University, there was a documented student loudly chanting, protesting, Zionists don't deserve to live.
Yeah. And what goes further, I mean, that's very out there, right? That's very blatant. But when you look at it, how did they get to that ideology? Well, it started with the whole chant, from the river to the sea. And they're all chanting that and saying it, not understanding what the meaning is behind that.
Well, and as you know, some of us might not know, what does Zionist mean?
Right.
And
right.
Aaron, Sergeant Q here had to level up and give me some knowledge about that's
just the Jewish people. Yeah. That's what they call the Jewish people, the Zionists. And so it's a term they use to, degrade or dehumanize the Jewish people. So it's just, but people are getting tired of it. People are getting burned out. They're done with this. And it's like, if you want to protest, that's great. But once it starts affecting other people's lives, where you're getting in their way of travel, when you're taking over spaces that don't belong to you, when you're disrupting the natural flow of everybody else's lives, that's where people have just had enough. They're just fed up with it. I've been fed up with it for a long time. Yeah. But now these very liberal universities and liberal cities, they're getting burned out with it as well. So it's where the woke has become the joke now, because here these people want to assume the moral high ground, but they're doing things that are disrupting everyone's lives. So they've lost the initiative. They've lost the support of the people because they've gone too far in what they're doing. And we're starting to see this big pendulum shift. Now, here's the thing, and I say this every time. And so it's funny because people will take the little clips of what I said earlier and just play that. They won't say the whole thing. Sure. But here's what I caution everyone, myself included, right? When we start to see that pendulum swing the other way, those of us in the middle, like myself, we need to slow it down. Slow it down. Because when it comes back, it picks up speed and it starts swinging hard the other direction. Yeah. We don't want that. The majority of us live in the middle in society, but the extreme on the right, the extreme on the left, those are the people who have the loudest voices, and they're pulling this pendulum back and forth, and we're stuck in the middle. There's more of us than there are of them. Yeah. So as these things are changing and shifting, we need to slow it down. Don't speed it up. Slow it down. Calmer voices need to be able to be heard so we can all live our lives and not be affected one way or the other by these extremists on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. And just side note, this is a good idea maybe to talk about in future episodes, is this TikTok ban that just passed.
Yes. So briefly, oh my gosh, you got me. Okay. So briefly, so you ready for Sergeant Q's conspiracy theory?
Yeah. Yes. Always ready for Sergeant Q's conspiracy theory.
Okay. So that is the one platform that's not controlled by the U.S. government. You say, oh, Facebook isn't controlled by the U.S. government. Really? Look what happened last election. They got busted having CIA agents working inside of Facebook and direct communication going from the agents that left the CIA to go work for Facebook over here, and direct lines of communication about what stories to suppress and which ones to put up. Like the whole Hunter Biden story about the laptop. They were told to suppress that. It was not an issue. It didn't happen. And then we find out 6 months later, oh, this did happen. And it was far worse than we could have even imagined. But they suppressed that whole story right before the election. And that was the government controlling Facebook. So look at Facebook, Instagram, right? These are controlled by the government.
What used to be Twitter.
And
all that came out.
And X. Yeah, because Twitter was controlled too. And now Elon Musk owns that with X. TikTok is a widely popular platform that gives the voice and power to the people.
Yes.
Where it's not controlled by the government. That's why they want to shut it down. And it's no coincidence that it's right before we go into this next election.
And also something that has been proven and shown by is the actual Republican congressman who wrote the ban to submit it, submitted it, and then literally within a couple days later invested like $1 to $4 million in Meta.
Yeah.
Look it up. True story. He writes a ban for TikTok and then goes and invests. I think we're gonna have to look, but it's over $1 million in Facebook Meta, because he knew the ban was going to succeed, and he invested his money in Facebook Meta.
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
And that's there's no gray area there. There's no room for opinions. That is wrong.
And that happens on both sides of the aisles, Republican and Democrat. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi, there's a guy, and you can look it up. It's called Follow Nancy Pelosi's Money. Look this guy up. He's on YouTube. All he does is he invests in the stock market in the exact same way, in the exact same percentage, not amount because he doesn't have that money, but percentage that Nancy Pelosi does in her dealings. Now, she doesn't invest. It's her husband that invests, right? So her husband has an investment firm and he invests. But here's the thing. He's 30 days behind because since they are public figures in the government, they have to report everything that they invest. So they report it. It has to become common knowledge, but it takes 30 days. So he's 30 days behind any deal Nancy Pelosi does. This guy went from zero to multi-millionaire, and he literally teaches other people how to do it. You don't have to believe me. You can look it up and see it. It's crazy.
Have you done it?
No, because I don't like other people controlling my money. I have no money in the stock market. I control all of my own wealth. I buy real estate. I invest in businesses. I start new businesses to help other people grow their business or employ more people. To me, stock market is like gambling and not even me gambling. It's like, hey, Casey, I'm going to give you $50 and you go play blackjack. No way, dude. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
No. My mom had a bunch of money in stocks and in the market from when she worked at Winco Foods. And she was losing money out of these mutual funds. I said, yeah, Mom. I said, let's pull it out. So we pulled it out, put her into some other investments, investing in real corporations that are right here locally in the area, investing in these businesses to help them grow. She's getting anywhere between a 5 and 7% return monthly.
That's great.
On her money. And her sister is still in the market. And she was crying the other day because all of her retirement is basically gone over the last 18 months. She's lost nearly half of her retirement.
That would be a cool little side podcast to do with you, to teach people like how to invest locally.
Oh, yeah. In local businesses.
Yeah. Yeah,
Casey.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are really dragging this current events now that we have two current events that we talked about. Let's dive into, unless you have something else, do you want to dive into the new advancement?
Oh yeah, the new advancement. This is super cool, you guys. Okay, so our new advancement, like I said at the beginning of the show, I was on a reality TV show, The Blocks. If you haven't checked it out, super cool. I was on season 7 and season 9. I won both of those. And then they asked me to come back as a coach and judge. So for season 13, this February, I was a coach and judge. So I looked at 100 different entrepreneurs. Some of them were pre-revenue. Some of them were several $100,000 in revenue, and helping them to either grow or scale their business or just get it off the ground. One of the really awesome businesses was AdvanceHub.co. So Casey will put it up on the screen. We'll have the link in the description. Check it out. This is circuit training for your brain. So circuit training, cool. You want to explain what circuit training is? Like, you're the physical fitness person, not me.
Am I? Gosh, I can't tell you. So it's, circuit training is, in a nutshell, going from machine to machine to machine, or like working out a specific body part for a minute, 30-second break, next one, 30-second break, next one. And it's in a circuit and training. And so mental health circuit training sounds amazing because you're getting little micro doses of mental health habits from one to the next to the next. It's genius.
Yeah, it's exactly.
I love this idea.
Exactly what it is. So the theory behind circuit training for your body is called muscle confusion. So what happens is if all you're doing is doing bench press all the time, your body gets used to that, and you're maybe growing the pecs, but you're not growing the deltoids or any of the other little support muscles that go down the side, all these little tiny muscles that you need to have actual strength and not just size. You're not getting those. So when you do the circuit training, you're doing all these different exercises semi-randomly. So there'll be a set that you do that day, but then tomorrow the circuit is going to be totally different. So you're going to confuse the muscles, work all these little tiny supporting muscles. Works great for building strength in physical fitness.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like all these like shock training. It's like shocking the regimented everyday familiarity of your body, of your mind. And that's why research and studies have proven that like 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower does incredible things because you're shocking your system. It's not used to that. And like changing up your so if you eat the same foods every day, changing that up, there's tons of research out there to prove these kinds of shocking mentality type practices can be really good now, mind and body.
Yeah. So here's with the physical side of it, this is what also happens. So you get a hit of dopamine when you accomplish a small goal. But the next time you accomplish that goal, you're going to get less dopamine and less dopamine and less dopamine. So if you're just doing the same workouts or just eating the same foods, your brain is not registering that as valuable. You're not getting dopamine, so you can do it again. So with the circuit training, it's always changing. So your brain is always getting dopamine. So it keeps you motivated to keep doing it. Yeah. Well, she just took that exact same thing, that same regimen we were just talking about, and applied it to the area of mental health, which is super cool. Now, I was really intrigued by this because you and I were working on a project very similar to this, not as in depth. This is way ahead of where we were at, way, way ahead. We have a small little basic thing that we were creating for an upgrade version of the QActual app, where there was a little bit of training that Jessica had built out. I created an AI bot, and the AI bot was going to put you through these series of trainings. So very similar to what she's created at advancedhub.co. She calls it connect to yourself. So C2Y, connect to yourself. And she does this with you. So you sign on, it's a membership fee, you get on, and then 4 times a day, she goes on, and you can be on there from 7, 14, or 30 minutes, depending on how long you have. And you go, and she puts you through these little micro exercises online. You're in a group, but you don't have to have your camera on. You can be anonymous, not a problem. She's the only one who sees you anyway. But it allows you to get small little micro doses of mental health exercises, the exercises that we talk about, the exercises that you've seen me go through that Jess puts me through, just little micro doses of that. Yeah. And when you sign up, you could go to all 4 classes that day if you wanted to and get all these different regimens.
Yeah, I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So I got to meet with her. I was in Arizona at a speaking conference working with the 10X team and Pete Vargas. She is in Arizona, in Chandler. So I drove out to Chandler with a buddy of mine who I served in Anglica with, Mr. G14 Classified. And I got to introduce them two together. And it was just really cool to see what she's created and how because she was pre-launch when she was there. And now she's launched. It's in the marketplace. The next day on Saturday, she was actually taking it to the college campus. She got involved with their mental health department. And so they said, yes, come on out. And she put on an event there on the college campus. So it was really, really cool. Neat. So go check this out, you guys. Remember, it's launched, but it's in beta form. So she's still working out some bugs, but it's a great time to get in, try this thing out, see what you think. I know I'm going to try it. Jess is going to try it. I think it's going to be revolutionary because it's live with a person. Yep. And it's not on your own time, but it's helping you build routine. So it's like 5 a.m, 6 a.m, noon, and like 6:30 at night, something like that. So you can get on and get these little micro doses of mental resiliency training.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I can't wait.
50% of Americans say that they or a loved one have suffered from mental health crisis. Together, we can change all that. Introducing QActual, a revolutionary new peer-to-peer based mobile application. Personalized to fit your lifestyle, with pinpoint GPS location in times of emergency. Connecting you to your care provider. With QActual, we will move you forward. Download QActual now and visit QActual.com.
So we love bringing you guys new stuff that's in the marketplace. This is something I have a personal connection to, and I thought was fascinating, and I'd love for you guys to try it out. But Jess, let's talk about our scriptures of the day.
Yeah, and our scriptures for today are going to coincide with our tool for today, and so I'm giving you a little bit of an advance.
Oh, this is the pre-workup.
Pre-workup, yeah. So we're
pre-workout. This is the pre-workout.
Pre-workout, sure.
All my gym heads out there.
Yeah, because I'm the workout guru. Not at all. So
you know that the Army is always more physically fit than the Marines, right?
what is next? What's coming next? Where's the punchline?
That was the punchline.
That was the punchline. Sure.
I just got to take shots at the Army every chance I get.
I know. It's fine.
Do we need to talk about the coffee machine?
No.
So there I was.
No.
In pre-show. And I have this really awesome coffee machine called the Nespresso. Makes a great cup of coffee. And Jess is like, Aaron, I can't figure this out. Come help me. This machine's not working. I go in there. She's like, I filled up the water. I emptied the thing. I did the thing. I put the thing in. I did the da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay. I opened the drawer and I said, well, where's the other piece? It's missing. When she had emptied the trash container, she dumped out the insert as well. So when she put it back in, it didn't have the cartridge, so it wouldn't work.
So I had to reach my arm into the garbage and pull it out and get made fun of for the next 36 minutes of my life.
It was awesome. It reminded me of this really cool clip that Casey will add in the description. So this guy's on the firing line, brand new recruit, and he's shooting and he's looking at the PMI, personal marksmanship instructors, kind of looking up and saying, hey, my gun's not firing anymore.
Weapon.
My weapon is not firing anymore. And the instructor looks down and goes, could it be that you ran out of ammo? You have fired all of your ammunition. And you can see because the little trap door on the rifle is open and you can see that the breech is clear and that the charging handle is stuck to the rear. So he pulls out the magazine. There's no rounds in it. Yeah. That's kind of what it was like today.
Why do you think the joke is that Marines eat crayons?
Why? Because I don't know.
Because they're dumb.
How are we dumb? We know how to shoot the weapon. We know how to add ammo.
That's one guy. Let's cut all of this. We're at 39. I'm going to talk about scripture.
Yes.
All right. We're going to jump right into our scripture for today.
Yes. Let's go.
You need a little extra Holy Spirit juice today. All right. So we're going to first say Proverbs 25:28. And it says, a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. 1 Peter 1:13 says, think clearly and exercise self-control. 2 Peter, these ones are a little longer, so I'm going to look them up. 2 Peter 1:5-6 says, in view of all this, make every effort to respond to God's promises, supplement your faith with a generous provision of moral excellence, and moral excellence with knowledge, and knowledge with self-control, and self-control with patient endurance, and patient endurance with godliness. I like that because it's talking about self-control and knowledge and moral excellence. And as we get into our tool, we're gonna talk a little bit about how learning about self-control and decision-making can completely change the trajectory of our lives, our mental health growth, our personal growth, our family growth, our social growth, our business growth, all of that. So let's dive right into our tool.
No. So I want to unpack a little bit about what you said in the scripture.
Yes.
Because remember, the Bible was written for us, but it wasn't written to us. It was written to the people of the time. So the example they give, or the allegory that he shows there, is that a man without discipline is like a city without walls, that's broken down without walls. So today our cities don't have walls around them. But back then in biblical times, you had to have a wall for a multitude of reasons. Okay. So the whole like wall thing triggers people. But let me break it down and show you why they needed a wall. 1, for the environment. 2, for the animals. 3, for the people. Now, let me share this with you. A city, they would build up walls around it because there were no paved roads. There was just sand and dirt and dust and environment that was there. So, weeds and bushes would try and grow into the city. Dust would get blown into the city. And so they'd build these big walls to keep the city clean and neat and orderly, and to block a lot of that wind and debris
and
that
healthy.
Would come through.
To have healthy development and
more sanitation.
Yeah, less. So many reasons that wall would create a healthy environment.
Yeah, so they would build a wall to keep the environment from polluting the city. The second reason is to keep the wild animals out. You know, and it wasn't just, you know, when you think of like lions and tigers and bears, oh my, those were there too, but to keep out the smaller things, the snakes and the alligators, and to keep out the rodents and things like that. They would build these walls to keep those critters out as well, so that it was a safer environment, especially for the elderly or the youth.
Yeah.
And the third reason was that they would have a defensible position if another city wanted to come and raid them. So walls were super important. So when they say that a man without discipline is like a city without walls, we don't see that as being important. We don't understand the example given. But now that I shared that with you, you can see it a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm
that
glad you
having
shared
no
that.
discipline in your life is having no barriers between you and the chaos of the rest of the world.
Yeah. That's really good.
All right.
Thank
So I
you
just
for
want to give
sharing
that example.
Perfect.
All right. Let's go into our tools.
Yeah, so we're just gonna one of the tool that we wanted to share with you today is I've always been an advocate for continuous learning. So I teach a parenting class. I do a lot of marriage classes.
You're going to get ready to do your doctorate.
Even when I'm not in a classroom situation, I'm still always saying, what can I learn to be a better parent? What can I learn to be a better wife? What can I learn to be a better, whatever occupation I was in, the 23 jobs in 23 years. Like I still recognized that I'm only as good as what I know. And one of my favorite mantras is you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so why don't you learn more to know? And so I talk about it all the time. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, well, I did the best I could. Did you read a book? Did you do higher education? Not even paying for college, but do you realize that you can learn almost anything for free on YouTube or Google today? How do I become better with my budget? There's thousands of videos and blogs on how to budget better. The only thing stopping you from becoming a better you is your mind. It's not resources. It's not money. It's not environment. Nothing. You can go get a free library membership and check out a book. I don't care what it is. If you don't know how to read, there's resources out there to teach you how to read. So I say this because I've always had it. I've always really just wanted to acquire more knowledge. And I'm not like Q here, who retains everything they read. I don't. I don't have that kind of brain. I was a C student in high school. I barely graduated. There's no way you would have told me I would end up with a bachelor's degree, let alone a master's degree. No way. But my love for learning and being better and seeing that, hey, I am this is so cocky, but I am one of the best parents I know, but it's not because of any other reason except for the areas I didn't know. I said, okay, I don't know much about this. Let me learn more about this. Let me research more about this. And people come to me all the time. Hey, help me with this and this. I tell them a book and I ask them 3 weeks later, did you read the book? No, I haven't read it yet. I can't do anything for you. I can't teach you everything I know in 90 seconds. I just can't do it. You got to put some effort in yourself.
Yes. And so the way the brain operates, there's two ways to learn, two modalities. There's emotional learning and repetition. And everybody wants the emotional learning, right? Because it feels good. Oh, I learned this. Right? And that's like, if you do something, you get an emotional rush out of it and it'll stick with you. Like if you touch, even if it's a bad thing, if you touch a stove and it's hot, you get burned. That's emotional. You learned really quick. Don't touch the stove. Yeah. That's painful. Now, that's the way everybody wants to learn, is that very instant, like, I just want to know it. But there's no longevity there, because once you've learned it that way, you can't learn it that way again, because you're not going to get the dopamine hit. Mm-hmm. The better way to learn is repetition, which is exactly what Jess is talking about. Yeah. The repetition, having the discipline to do it over and over and over and realize, I don't know this area, so let me learn it. Let me read this book. Let me practice these things. Let me watch this video. Let me go to this workshop. Let me grow in this area that I feel like I'm struggling in. That takes a lot of time, effort, and discipline, but there's a lot more longevity in learning through repetition than through emotion. Because if you just want to learn through emotion, you have to change it every single time. Otherwise, the emotion is not going to be there.
Right. And I don't want to hear, well, I'm not a reader. I don't like to read. I hated reading growing up. I hated it. And that's what makes you different is you do the hard things. You do the things you don't feel like doing. And that's one thing that we're going to learn in this video it's a 15-minute video. We're going to watch 3 minutes of it with you guys, and we're going to unpack it and talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. And so when you do the hard things, there's a little part of your brain that actually physically grows. It's called the anterior cingulate cortex. And it won't grow if you just do the easy stuff. When you challenge yourself to do the hard things, it doesn't matter if you succeed or fail. It really doesn't.
Doesn't matter.
It grows because you tried. That's it.
Yep.
And then it helps you do the next hard thing and the next hard thing and the next hard thing. And winning, trust me, I fail far more than I win. I'm probably sitting at like probably 1 to 10, right? For every 10 things I try, one of them works out. But I just keep doing it, keep trying. And then something sticks. And people are like, oh, you're successful at everything you do. I'm like, no, bro. Trust me, there were 10 or 20 iterations before I got to this one. All right. So, okay, Casey, you want to show the video?
There are so many people in the world, and you may be watching this right now, and you have these incredible ideas, and what you think is missing is motivation. And that's not true, because the way that our minds are wired and the fact about human beings is that we are not designed to do things that are uncomfortable or scary or difficult. Our brains are designed to protect us from those things because our brains are trying to keep us alive. And in order to change, in order to build a business, in order to be the best parent, the best spouse, to do all those things that you know you want to do with your life, with your work, with your dreams, you're going to have to do things that are difficult, uncertain, or scary, which sets up this problem for all of us. You're never going to feel like it.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, I know exactly why that is. Because I've studied this so much, because for me, one of the hardest things to figure out was, why is it so hard to do the little things that would improve my life? And what I've come to realize is that the way that our minds are designed is our minds are designed to stop you at all costs from doing anything that might hurt you. The way that this all happens is it all starts with something super subtle that none of us ever catch. And that is with this habit that all of us have that nobody's talking about. We all have a habit of hesitating. We have an idea, you're sitting in a meeting, you have this incredible idea, and instead of just, saying it, you stop and you hesitate. Now, what none of us realize is that when you hesitate, just that moment, that micro moment, that small hesitation, it sends a stress signal to your brain. It wakes your brain up, and your brain all of a sudden goes, oh wait a minute, why is he hesitating? He didn't hesitate when he put on his killer spiky sneakers. He didn't hesitate with the really cool track pants. He didn't hesitate with the NASA t-shirt. Now he's hesitating to talk, something must be up. Then your brain goes to work to protect you. It has a million different ways to protect you. One of them is called the spotlight effect. It's a known phenomenon where your brain magnifies risk. Why? To pull you away from something that it perceives to be a problem. And so you can truly trace every single problem or complaint in your life to silence and hesitation. Those are decisions. What I do and what's changed my life is waking up and realizing that I'm never going to feel like doing the things that are tough or difficult or uncertain or scary or new. So I need to stop waiting until I feel like it. And number two, I am one decision away from a totally different marriage, a totally different life, a totally different job, a totally different income, a totally different relationship with my kids. Not like one decision, I'm divorcing you in the marriage example, but one decision on, you could be having a conversation with your spouse and you feel your emotions rise up, and within a tiny window, those emotions can take over and can impact how your marriage goes. Or you can learn how to take control of that micro moment and make a decision to act in a way that actually shifts your marriage. Your life comes down to your decisions, and if you change your decisions, you will change everything.
So our tool for today is taking little moments of your life to learn something new, to do the hard things. It could be anything. It could be listening to an audiobook, listening to these videos like Jessica and I do. I do this every single day. Jessica does it as well. Just these small moments to learn things that you didn't know and then apply them to your life. And here's the thing, you have to apply it. I know tons of people that read tons of books. They have lots of knowledge, but they don't do anything with it. I have veterans who've gone through my program who didn't do anything with the teachings that I gave them. And they're still right back at the same place that they were 8 years ago when I first met them. And then have other people who took control of their mental health and started to grow and learn and go on far beyond my program and do other programs.
That would be me.
And find great success in it, right? It was just the catalyst. It was just the starting point. I tell people that my course and my book, the teachings are not a one and done. It's just to get you started on your journey. There's a lot of great tools in there to help you along the way, but my curriculum isn't the only one out there. There are hundreds of them. You could pick any of them, but just do it every single day.
And that's one of my favorite, what do we call them? Motivational, informational talks. Mel Robbins is somebody that I like to follow. She's relatable and she's funny and she's honest. And she brought herself out of a really hard place herself. And I like learning from people like that because they have felt what I felt. They've been through the same emotional struggles, right? And when she talks about later in this, I abhor you to go. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
To go and watch the rest of that video because she talks about what really drastically changed her life, and that was her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule, and that is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
And my husband calls it his 1, 2, 3, go. And what she talks about the scientific difference of 1, 2, 3. If you count up, you can keep counting. But when you count down, it's when you get to 1, you're at 1. And so I used this to get out of bed every morning without pushing the snooze. I made a choice, a decision. She talks about decisions in micro moments of getting out of bed when my alarm goes off, standing up, just making that decision, that micro decision in that micro moment to stand up and then take a walk to go get my glass of water. By the time I drink the glass of water, I don't want to hit that snooze and go back to bed. But man, if I reach over and hit that snooze, I'll hit it 3 or 4 times. And so that has drastically changed my life, is just making that decision. And so there's no excuse for anybody who pushes the snooze button. Nobody is controlling your finger or your mind to push the snooze button. The best thing you can do for yourself is get up the first time your alarm goes off.
You know, it's funny. You love Mel Robbins, right? She's great. She's awesome. You know who helped her? Who was her mentor?
Who?
Pete Vargas.
I bet.
Yeah. You know who my mentor is? Who helps me?
Who?
Pete Vargas.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm on the 10X stages. Pete Vargas. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense because
shout out to Pete in 10X stages.
Nice. Yeah. She has a great TED Talk, has 32 million views. Is how to stop screwing yourself. And it is excellent. I show it to most of my clients, right? Because I'm a little more like future based with my clients. Like, let's stop getting stuck in these emotions and these feelings, and which is not technically counseling. It's more coaching. It is what it is. Yeah. So
one of the things that, and I'm not trying to crap on your profession.
Yeah.
Okay. But one of the problems that I see with a lot of mental health counselors is that they just want to talk about what happened and ruminate on that, which just creates more of the problem. Instead of talking about, like you said, the future, like that happened, how can we move forward through it? And so I've been through a lot of counseling where all they wanted to do was go over the pain of the past and just over and over and over and over again. And that didn't help me. What helped me was realizing that that's who I was. It's not who I'm always going to be. Yes, that happened, but at some point you have to move beyond that. And that's what really helped me, was when I took control of my own mental health journey and started to move forward past that pain and trauma. And that's what I see a lot of people get stuck in. Is I know people in my life that have gone to counseling for 20 years and they talk about the same things for 20 years. Like, when are you going to move beyond that and to look at what happened to me, from to look at it instead of from look at what has happened to me to look at what I have overcome.
Yeah.
And you have to make that transition at some point. I'm not saying it has to be day one. Yes, you have to get that stuff out. You have to talk about it. But at some point, you have to move beyond that into look at what I've overcome.
And not to burst your bubble, but the first 6 months of grad school to become a counselor is them teaching you, this isn't what you thought it was. This is so different than what you thought. Yeah, people might say, hey, you give good advice. You should be a counselor. And really they try to like redirect you to just be a listener and learn how to ask questions to really keep kind of people. And so that's really what counseling is. And that's why it's not like the foundation. How do I say this? You and I are similar in the way we needed counseling. Was more of a coaching. And what the psychology world has come to find is most people don't operate that way, but also only 2% of people are successful. Okay. So if only 2 to 5% of people like that kind of counseling, those are the 2 to 5% of people that want more of a coaching approach. And so that's why I tell people in the beginning of my counseling, I'm not like other counselors. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that.
Because you follow more of the coaching side?
Yes.
I would be interested to see your success rate with clients versus the other way. I'm willing to bet money that you're going to have a higher success rate. Because you're helping people move forward instead of just ruminate. And we already know that when you talk and you ruminate about these problems, they don't go away, they get bigger. You find more problems.
Yeah. And there's a time and a place to help somebody unpack something that happened in their life to understand for themselves why it happened and where they can go with it. It's kind of like wives with me now. Husbands, check out. When you try to tell your husbands something for 6, 7, 8 years, and then they don't listen. And then all of a sudden they meet this new friend and they're like, oh my gosh, my friend told me this. And it's something you've been teaching them for 6, 7, 8 years. And you're like, okay, great. It had to come from somebody else really to get down deep. It's kind of like how we operate sometimes in counseling is there, it's kind of, and it happens with husbands and wives. Well,
I was going to say, yeah, I was waiting for my moment.
Yeah, it happens with both. And so, yes, but really you do drive more force to want to change if you uncover some of those things yourself. And I understand that and I get that. And there's a time and a place for it. But I could go on and on about the pros and cons of counseling. But another thing I really wanted to point out about Mel Robbins' first 3 minutes of that talk is doing uncomfortable and difficult things, and that our brains are designed to protect us. We want to protect not just, and this is what I love, not just ourselves, but our children. Mm-hmm. Stop protecting your children from doing uncomfortable and hard things. Let's do a whole nother podcast on that.
Yeah, I think it's Jordan Peterson says you have to let your children do dangerous things as safely as possible.
That's exactly what he says. Yep. It's good. Yeah, we should do another podcast on that.
But that's advice for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to do the hard things.
Yeah.
Especially when we don't want to do it. When I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's like a little alarm bell that goes off in my head, says, oh, now you have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Well, you guys also make sure you like and subscribe. Share these with anybody that you know that you think could benefit from it. And as always, we are here to
have a nice day. Educate, empower, and encourage you on your mental health journey. I'm Sergeant Q.
And I'm Doc Jess.
And we're out.
Hi guys, Doc Jess here from the Mental Health Janitors. And I wanted to sneak in here to let you guys know about a really exciting opportunity that Sergeant Q is going to be sharing with us. He has an award-winning signature talk that he's going to be holding on Friday, May 10th at 6:30 at Faith and Victory Church. This is an incredible opportunity to get some free mental health training from one of the best. I know I'm going to be there, and I just want to invite all of you guys to be there. Make sure you guys sign up, and the link of how to sign up will be in this video. Thanks so much, you guys. Hope to see you there.